What is up, everyone? Welcome to Dead with My Friends podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Nick.
And this is episode 23. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about Brainscan.
So, Steven, how was your night last night?
So yesterday I went to High Dive Tattoo in New Paltz to see my boy Coop. Got this, I don't know if you could really see it. I posted it on my page, but it's American Werewolf from London. Needed a gap filler, so we did like the werewolf head. We did like a flash head.
It looks sick.
And yeah, dude, he did it in like 2 hours. It was like a super easy session.
Coop does good work, dude. He's done great work on your arm.
2 years I've been getting tattooed now, and it's, you know, we just put some work in, and yeah, I'm happy with how this came out, and I'll be back in November for another session.
So question.
What's up?
When are you going to get the Fright Night tattoo? And where are you going to get it?
So probably not for a couple of years. I want Coop to finish this sleeve, but then like I do want to see a portrait style artist for like more horror shit. Like this is like a mix of like horror and the occult and like other shit. Whereas like I just want like pure like shit, like some of my favorite horror movies, like portrait style on this sleeve. And you know, it's gonna be some time, but I think I want it up on my shoulder, like the house with like the face, the iconic fucking.
It's one of the best.
Amy fucking vampire shark mouth face, and like, you know, like the wolf shit, like all that fucking the blue fucking, you know, fucking bat and wolf shit, you know, behind the house. So probably on the upper part of my arm. And yeah, but you know, like I said, Coop's got to finish this sleeve out. Like I want it all filled, and my hands. I'm gonna let him do. You know, I talked about you, but since the passing of Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda,
rest in peace, Bray Wyatt.
Rest in peace, Bray. Still kind of processing that, but you know, when he was the Fiend, he had hurt heel on his gloves, like on the knuckles. So I do want to get hurt heel, like on my fucking knuckles. So.
I fucking dig that, dude. That's a nice, you know, memorable piece. That's
because he left one hell of an impact, man. And like I'll never forget like seeing that first Fiend entrance at SummerSlam 2019, I believe it was, and like, you know, it was over a dozen of us, and the room just got quiet. Like we were all conversing, and then his intro hit and his entrance, and like you could hear a pin drop. You know, it's just a very captivating moment.
He had a real good thing going. He had a real good gimmick going, real good character going. And I mean, look, dude, like I don't watch wrestling anymore. Raw's War in the 1990s was the real heyday for me. That's when I stopped watching it. It just never felt like it was the same. It was just so good then. But every now and then there was wrestlers who would come around who kind of like would pique my interest, you know, because they had a good fucking storyline going. They had a really solid character, and Bray Wyatt was one of those characters, dude. You know, I remember when he was introduced, and then I saw a bit of progression over the years, and dude, he rose to the top, you know, and it's just really unfortunate that we lost Bray Wyatt as young and as soon as he was. So rest in peace, Bray Wyatt.
Absolutely. So the night before that, it was a death metal show in Middletown at Quinn Pins.
That's what I was getting to. I was getting my wires mixed up.
That was a good night. A lot of friends came through. My friends in sick bay played straight penitentiary shit. Shout outs Jeremy. But then they went down to the city for a big death metal festival. They played with also friends of the show and Abuse Ritual. But yeah, so the Middletown show, it was Brutality, which these kids, I've watched them since they were like 14. They used to play at my local campground, like just playing like Metallica covers and shit. And they're just growing into these fucking talented musicians. They've already done a full US tour.
What?
And these kids, yeah, they're like fresh out of high school now. And they're just so fucking
Dedicated,
talented. And
bro.
they've been writing some they got some fucking heavy riffs in the tank, and they're going to be playing shows with our boys in Servant soon, and Necroptic Engorgement, who was also on the bill for the Middletown Quinpin show. Fucking Middletown death metal holding it down since fucking 2010. They played some new songs. And then it was like 2 other touring bands. I don't remember the one, but the headlining band, they were from Seattle, which was super sick. It was their first time on the East Coast. And Mike, the drummer of My Bitter End, he's like booking shows now at Quinpin. So it is like, charged at the door, but I'm all for it if it brings in more shows, more heavier bands.
That's all we want, man. We want more shows. We want more bands to come through the Hudson Valley. So
absolutely. Another spot for gigs, man. So I don't
also,
mind paying at all.
Also, dude, it's, a lot of shit comes out of the pocket of the musicians, man. And if they can get paid, fuck yeah, dude. Because that'll mean more merch. That'll fucking mean more opportunity for them to go and record instead of shit coming out of their pocket, man. It only benefits. Free shows are awesome, dude. Like, don't get me wrong. Who the fuck's gonna pass up a free show? But get the fucking bands paid, bro.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, and that's why I picked up this Atheris shirt. Because like again, they were the headlining band. I'd know nothing about them. And, it was like technical death metal with a little bit of like Black Dahlia Murder influence in it. It kind of had a darkened sound a bit. I was really digging it. And like the sounds were tight, even though I'm not like the biggest like technical death metal fan. Like I'm like the more slam, hard shit, like the fucking dying fetus, fucking caveman riffs in there too,
Yeah.
But like still they were fucking good. And they sounded great. And, I got called out because, of course, I'm throwing down for Sick Bay and Necroptic. Like, those are my boys. And the fucking vocalist of Atheris, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, sorry. Still new to the band. But he was, like, calling me out. He was like, I want to see you moving. So I'm like, fuck. Because I was really sore because I didn't have a chance to stretch. I got out of work and went straight to the show. So, I did some shit. But, yeah, again, they were from Seattle. This is their first East Coast tour. And after the show, I was like, let me go check out what shirts they got. Like, just they came a long way. And
for sure,
I saw this shirt here, and I don't know if you can see it well, but
is that like a dead body or some shit? In
no,
the woods?
it looks like a bunch of scrap metal and shit. Let me get to it. Okay. So I was talking to the guitarist, right, and he was wearing a sick Full of Hell shirt with Godzilla on it, and it was like the Shin Godzilla, which I'm not the biggest fan of except for like the final form of Shin Godzilla. So I was like, I was complimenting his Full of Hell shirt, and then I asked about this shirt, and I was like, let me ask you something. Is there any inspiration from Tetsuyo?
That's what that was just going through my head.
That's exactly what I was going for designing this shirt. I was like, all right, let me get one. So I picked up a shirt, just catching that reference.
I kind of felt like that's what you were getting at, and that's like where my head started to go, and I'm like, Tetsuo.
Yeah, exactly. So I picked up this shirt, showed my support. So best of luck to them on their first East Coast tour. And yeah, man, it was a good time. But Ernie came through, which was a nice surprise.
Nice. How's Ernie?
He's doing good. Just working hard at the local deli. Dude bust his ass there, but he was like, fuck, I'm going to make it out for this. And, I put him on to like, there's a show happening next weekend at the Grange. And I was like, yo, you got to start coming through. Joe came through. And it was really funny because like, okay, so during Atheris' set, like there was one drunk guy who was like, these guys are from fucking Seattle. Come on. And he was like trying to get like more people over because at one point some people left and it was just really funny. And then like one dude, I swear to God, he was having like a religious experience during their set because a bunch of these dudes were like playing pool and they made their way over. And the one dude, a different dude who was also drunk. He was just straight up having a religious experience. It was almost like, you ever see like those like fake possessions shit where they're like, he was like that the whole fucking time. He took his flip flops off, was barefoot and just like going crazy. It was fucking hilarious. But after the show, some of us were shooting the shit. And my boy Chaz and Andrew Thomas from Servant of Sorrow, they were talking to my boy Joe about UFOs and shit. And they're like, oh, you on Instagram, this and that? He's like, nah, I got no social media. Joe, he's just like off the grid.
Yeah.
And we're all parting ways, and then I'm about to make my way to the car, and then I hear Joe's voice, and he's like, "Yo, Steve, what's good?" And I'm looking over, and he's just sitting, and his door's open, and he's got his legs out, and there's like some short, cute Spanish girl there, right? And I'm like, "What the fuck's going on?" So he's like, "Yo, come here." So I walk over, and this girl straight up just cuffs my guy. And I'm just fucking laughing. I'm like, "What's going on here?" And he's like, "She's got me reactivating my Facebook."
Oh, what?
And I'm like, "What?" And they're just
Wow.
exchanging socials and numbers.
He
And-
met her at
and
the
I'm
show?
just- Yeah, I guess she was there like bowling or chilling at the bar or something. But like, it was really funny because like I looked at her and I was like, it must be his luscious locks and that chiseled jawline. Because we jokingly always say that like Joe looks like Prince Charming from fucking Shrek too.
Oh yeah,
And he really does.
Last time I saw him, he had a ponytail going
Yeah.
or a bun. You know.
Yep.
Joe's a handsome guy.
Oh yeah. So and I said to her, I said, "Yeah, it's the hair and jawline, huh? Old Prince Charming over here." And she like shyly giggled and she was like, "Yeah." So then I was just like fucking laughing, and then like, you know, Andrew and Chaz were like, "What's good over there?" I was like, "Remember how you said like he's not on social media? This dude's fucking reactivating his social media right now because this girl's got him cuffed." So I just, you know how we always say, bro, it's Joe's world. We're just living in it.
Yes.
It really is. That fucking guy. But yeah, it was a great turnout. A lot of homies. My boy Jimmy came through, who I've met. Became friends with going to shows there. He's a local fucking ripper, always skating fucking Middletown Park, fucking Newburgh, Walden. Dude's got some nice trays. So shout outs Jimmy. Yeah, man, good time. And yeah, it's kind of my weekend summed up. And now we're here and we're gonna talk Brainscan in a bit. But before that, we got a teaser trailer for Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, man. The time is finally coming. It's finally happening.
Finally, dude. Finally.
We've been waiting years, dude, for this moment, and it is truly happening. And we are getting a November release. I'm so excited. We are going to link up. We're going to go see it. We're probably going to review it.
Yeah,
You know
I think
how
so.
it is.
I'm gonna look at the calendar and I'm gonna see if it's gonna be doable as far as like getting out that episode before November ends. I think it'll probably line up because I think that movie comes out like the 17th of November or the 14th of November. It can't be. I'll tell you right now. Hold on, little fact check. Okay, so yeah, it comes out November 17th. So yeah, dude, let's cover that shit, dude. I'm so excited for it, dude. I know Eli Roth's gonna deliver. Eli Roth, man, he's a real one, dude.
Yeah,
He
no,
really
he
is.
knows his shit, man. I mean, I wouldn't know about Pieces if it wasn't for him and his What's in My Basket episode. So, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it's set for November. We're going to do Ninja November again because that was a great, great episode. And yeah, we're going to cover Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. It's been something that we've waited years on, and the time has finally come. So I feel like we have to. We have to cover it.
Wonder how like relieved he feels now that he did it, you know?
Yeah.
Because everybody wanted it, and even in the retrospective episode that we just recorded, you know, we both talked about how we wanted those fucking Grindhouse trailers as like real movies, man. You know, like Edgar Wright's Note, man. Even as like a short, it would have been just so fucking
so
or
good.
no, or
Yeah.
don't. I'm sorry.
Don't. Yeah. Don't go
Don't.
in this house.
Yeah.
Don't go into the basement. Yeah, and it's a riff of all those because there was an era in like the mid to late 70s and early 80s where it was like don't this, don't that. And yeah, man, I mean, that would just be one that I would love to see at least turned into a short. But yeah, dude. Oh, you watched real quick what is it? The Joe Bob special that they did at the Mahoning.
Yes, I did, man.
How was that?
It was so good, dude. Honestly, I forgot about Joe Bob being there to save the Mahoning. Like that was the big event. So it was Joe Bob's Jamboree. It was just for us going there and being like we weren't part of that experience, even though that I wish that we were. But the fact that we've been able to appreciate and be at the Mahoning Drive-In, just seeing this huge event was so sick, dude. They had a fucking big tent set up, and they did like the live screening, and they broadcasted it on the screen of Joe Bob. Darcy was there. They had the guy who does the Joe Bob theme song there. They had some live music. They played Night of the Demons,
Yeah.
and they had Linnea Quigley there, and they had the main girl who played Angela there as well.
But that's cool that they had like they had fucking Linnea Quigley and the other actress who plays the other demon that does like the whole dance in the living room and shit.
Yeah. The cool thing about that, which I didn't know, is like her background is being a professional dancer.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know what, man? I've like got my Halloween watch list already.
You gotta share it with me. I'm working on mine. I'm up to 10 movies.
I have Night of the Demons, but I don't have it in my watch list this year. And I'm like thinking about like maybe plucking something and replacing it with that. You know what I do have is we have a new season of Creepshow coming out. So that's dropping on Friday the 13th of October. So I do have Jason Lives on my watch list for that day, but I'm also going to be watching Creepshow, the new season, because I love that series. Also dropping the same day real quick, I guess Disney Plus has rebooted Goosebumps.
Yeah, I saw that.
I've got my doubts, but, I got to check it out.
Is Justin Long in it?
I don't know.
I think
you'd have to fact check that for me, but
I think he might be in it.
Listen, those that have grown up in the late 80s and the 90s like us, Goosebumps was a big part of our childhood. So I just want to see if Disney really fucks this up bad or if it'll be solid. So we'll see. I'm probably going to check that out too, because that's dropping the same day.
I think it's going to be solid.
I've got my doubts, man. Sometimes Disney be fucking shit up.
When I was listening back to our retrospective episode, I was talking about how I'm going to get rid of fucking Netflix streaming service, but I won't get rid of Disney Plus. And you know me, and I know that you're not into it, but I'm a big Star Wars guy. I fucking love Star Wars.
Hey, listen, The Mandalorian's good. The Obi-Wan shit is
Mando is sick. Obi-Wan is sick, but they just have the Ahsoka show out with Rosario Dawson playing Ahsoka Tano. And Ahsoka Tano's character, it's just she's one of my favorite fucking characters because she was Anakin Skywalker's apprentice, and it's just like that dynamic.
So she got some fucking moves, man. I mean, even when she showed up in the fucking season 2 of Mando, I mean, don't get me wrong,
was a great fucking episode, dude. So that's why, like, I feel like when it comes to Star Wars, they're milking the shit out of it.
Yeah,
they're milking the shit out of the whole fucking world, but a lot of it is really good. Like I said, Kenobi's really good. It's so cool to like see like what was happening when he was overlooking, Luke Skywalker, the whole time from a distance, and just like that story is just so fucking cool. And I'm so glad that we get to like see that and now see Ahsoka's story. So I love it. I really, 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 really want to see a Darth Maul series.
It'll probably happen.
Darth Maul, bro. Phantom Menace. When I saw that motherfucker for the first time, I'm like, yo, he is so badass. He's my favorite, dude.
You remember the first X-Men movie?
Yes.
The live action? Remember the Toad dude?
Was it the guy
that's
who
him.
Played him?
Really?
Yeah.
But enough about that. We are here to talk
the
early 90s horror Brainscan starring Edward Furlong in his fucking prime, childhood star, coming off of Pet Sematary 2, Terminator 2 a couple of years before that. I mean, he's at the peak right now, and people are just, like, we got to get Eddie Furlong, man.
Eddie Furlong in the 90s, dude, he was on a tear, man. Like you just named, a lot of what he did. I mean, American History X in 1998.
Yes.
Only 4 years after this movie.
Yeah.
Dude, American History X is just
fucking what a movie.
That's honestly, like, I have a list, man, of movies that I feel like everybody needs to see before they die, and American History X is on that, man. It's a very
I'd agree.
It's a very powerful fucking movie, man.
Absolutely.
It really is, dude. It really fucking hits. And I mean, Eddie Furlong played a great fucking role in it, dude.
Yeah.
Pet Sematary 2, great.
Love that. That's on my Halloween season watch list.
It always
man.
is. It always is. It always is.
Because
for
like
you.
I would always watch it on AMC Fear Fest, and then like there is that Halloween scene when they're all in the graveyard telling like the story of like the first movie and shit. And it's just even though it's shot in Georgia, I believe, it does have a good fall setting to it, which I'm so shocked that like you see some of this fall foliage being shot in Georgia. So probably was in like a northern part of Georgia. I don't know, but like I'm not, we're not from the South. But
I don't really know how the weather.
Yeah, man,
I don't really
it's
know how
just
the fall is down there, but
dude,
it
again,
does have a feel.
We has a feel, and we are talking, like I said, Edward Furlong's prime right now because, he'd later fall off and struggle with like addiction and other things. I think it was just the case of with most of these childhood actors or childhood stars is too much too soon. I mean, look what happened with Corey Feldman and shit, and like
Corey Haim, notoriously, unfortunately, man, like he had a real rough time. Rest in peace, Corey Haim, dude. I would have loved to have seen what Corey Haim would be doing nowadays, man.
Yeah.
And the sad thing about Corey Haim too is like I'm pretty sure like he kind of as he got older, like he overcame all the addiction and stuff like that, and I feel like he had passed away like due to pneumonia or something like that. Don't quote me on it, but it's just like it sucks, like an individual overcome all this shit and then pass away in like a way just kind of like seems like avoidable in a sense and whatever. But I digress. But yeah, like you're saying, man, like too much too soon, and then I mean, just being a child actor, it's a hell of a lot of pressure. And then I'll say though, like I was reading up about this, and there was like a lot of push and pull with Eddie Furlong and
the director, right? They did not get along.
They did not get along. The director did not like him.
Yeah.
He was like, he's a 15-year-old actor who can't fucking act. And, I guess he must have been lazy. He was like, I had to smack him to wake him up to get him on the set. But also like with Edward's guardian and stuff like that, I think he had, and I don't know for certain, but there was like something to do with his mother and his aunt with guardianship custody battle, and one of them wanted him to do this movie, and then another one didn't want him to do this movie. So imagine that, dude, being 15 years old, having this push and pull from your aunt and your one guardian. One person doesn't want you to do it. Who knows why one person might not have and why the other person might have. One might have wanted money, monetary aspect of it, and then another one was probably like, maybe it's too much for him. But who knows the situation? But the whole moral of this story is it was definitely difficult being a child actor.
Maybe he was phoning it in. Maybe.
I think that he did a good job.
Yeah, I'm for the most part, but he is kind of one-dimensional. Like once you've seen him in Terminator 2, it was just like, okay, this is the character. I'm the edgy kid, like I'm the outcast, like troublemaker. And I think maybe he just got typecasted. But you want to know something? During this time, Japan was loving some Eddie Furlong.
Really?
He had a cover album released over there, which is fucking horrible.
A cover album?
Yeah, he does a cover of The Doors, When You're Strange. It's horrible, man.
As a 15-year-old?
Yeah, dude, it's so bad. But like for some reason, Japan loved him, and he also did a ramen commercial out there that I caught like years ago on some like retro commercial page on Instagram.
I love that. I gotta
send it to you. If we can like kind of insert it in here, that would.
You want to put the ramen commercial in?
I think we should. I'll find it on YouTube.
Put it in.
Yeah.
So right
I'll send
here,
it to you and we'll put it in.
So right here, 3, 2, 1. This is gonna be Edward Furlong's ramen commercial. And we're back. Hopefully you enjoyed Edward Furlong's ramen commercial, because this was also the first time that I've ever seen it.
Yeah, man. He was really... Dude, he was like a fucking star in Japan during this time, dude. They were just... Especially a lot of like the girls at that time, they were obsessed with Edward Furlong.
Oh yeah, he was a heartthrob
Yeah.
out there. All the girls
Total
had their
heartthrob.
fucking posters in their room of him and
Yeah,
everything.
man.
You know, it's something like that.
Yeah, like so, like for
My
example,
mom talks about that shit. She's like, "Oh, I had Leif Garrett and all these fucking people on my wall."
what's funny now
David
is
Lee
like,
Roth.
you know, like J-pop and K-pop is so big over in the US, and like,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of girls like just fucking they fangirl over it. And it was just like the opposite over there with Edward Furlong during this time.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just so funny.
It's so crazy how like careers will fucking blow up in fucking in other countries, man. Like it's a perfect example is like David Hasselhoff
In
Like,
Germany.
he's
Dude,
huge in fucking Germany.
He's like a fucking god in Germany, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's fucking crazy.
There's also like this movie that I had heard about. It's called Finding Sugar Man, or something like that. And there was this guy, I forgot what his name was. He had recorded an album, and I guess like it didn't really do well in America, but it had gotten into the hands of people in South America, and he was a fucking star, and he didn't even know it. So
it's funny how
they
shit
filmed
like that works out.
they filmed a documentary about him, and they were just like trying to find this guy just to like tell him, be like, dude, you are huge in South America. I think it was either South America or like South Africa. It was South something. I'm like 99.9% sure it was South America. But huge star, man. And they ended up finding him, and then he went down, he played a show, and he donated like all of his money and stuff. Like he just didn't care, you know? It's cool, man. But I like the fact that there's like these commercials and things like that they did, man. Those things definitely paid big bucks too.
Oh yeah.
Big
Oh,
bucks.
Yeah.
That
especially with a good financial economy like Japan that's always had a really good economy. Like
a lot of actors actually do like international commercials and shit, like in Japan and stuff, because it does pay big money. So you could find that shit.
Yeah, Edward Furlong's like the only notable name in this cast.
Well, Frank Langella is pretty notable in this as far as the cast goes. If you see his face, you'll know what he's been in. He was he's a pretty big actor. He plays the detective.
Okay,
plays the
lieutenant.
detective. Yeah, he plays the lieutenant in this. And then no, you're right. Like as far as that goes, there's not that too many memorable characters. You got like Jamie Gallen, who plays Kyle, Best Friends Forever.
Dude, that's so buddies forever. Like that
Buddies
fucking
Forever,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Funny about him, dude, is like he was playing like a 15-year-old, and he was
And
like
he was
27.
like 27. Yeah, him
Yeah,
and the
He was
girl
an old
playing
guy.
Kimberly.
Emily Hargreaves, who played Kimberly, who's Edward Furlong, Michael in the movies, Next Door Neighbor. And then you have T. Ryder Smith, who plays the Trickster, who I think Trickster's my favorite character in this movie, dude. He's fucking badass. He's the mascot for Brainscan. I love Trickster.
Yo, tell me Trickster, and we'll get more into it. Tell me he doesn't give you a Sammy Kerr vibe.
Of course. Huge. Big time. We talked about this when we were talking Dead Heat, right?
Did we?
Yeah, when we were talking Dead Heat, we touched on this because there's a one scene in Dead Heat when Treat
when he's
has
all
the
burnt
ambulance
up, that's
accident, he's all
right.
burnt up, and he's like walking out of the fucking fire or whatever. And I told you, I'm like, yo, it reminds me of like Sammy Kerr. And then you were like, yeah, Sammy Kerr with like a mix of the Trickster from fucking Brainscan.
Yeah, you're totally right, man. It's all coming back to me.
So
Nick, why don't we do a plot breakdown? Drop the trailer and let's get into this, dude.
All right, brother, let's do it. So plot breakdown, short and sweet. I don't own a copy of Brainscan.
Neither do I.
We had watched this on Tubi, the Goat. So I think Shout Factory has a version of this out.
Print.
Oh, it's out of print?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's out of print.
Here's the deal, man. You know how it's going to go. It's going to get a 4K UHD.
4K, and we're going to pick it up.
It's going to have a nice slipcover. So I'm on IMDb, and just the plot is simple as this. Brainscan 1994. A teenager is part of an interactive video game where he kills innocent victims. Later, the murders become real.
Now that I have your attention, please Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Trickster.
What was that film you were watching?
Death, death, death.
Death, death, death.
Part 2.
Oh, Lord.
Michael's seen it,
Go for it, man.
done it, played it,
Look, I've played them all.
and just when he thought he'd die of boredom,
Brainscan, the ultimate experience in interactive terror.
Never leave home without it.
You're in the game, man. You're in control.
You must think like a killer. Cover up any clues. Leave no witnesses, no evidence.
a challenge he can't resist.
It was so real. It was sick.
See, I told you, man. I told you it would blow your mind.
A game he can't escape.
There was a grisly murder in the quiet suburban town of Mountview today.
So you did it.
What was on that disc?
It's not a game anymore.
Hamilton and Hayden.
It's real.
It wasn't supposed to be real.
Real, unreal, what's the difference?
I didn't kill the man. I didn't even know him.
You're in this now. You won't survive on your own. You started this and now you're afraid to finish it just like you're afraid of everything else.
I won't kill her. Shoot her.
Wait. The witness has to die.
Edward Furlong, Frank Langella, and introducing T. Ryder Smith as the trickster. Brainscan.
I can't wait to see what you do next.
So yeah, Brainscan opens up. Our boy Eddie Furlong, whose character's name's Michael, he's having this nightmare flashback of a car accident that he's involved in, that his mother passed away in, and he's like, crawling away from the scene, trying to scream for help, and his knee's all fucked up and shit. And he wakes up from this nightmare, right? And then we see the scar of his knee.
Yeah, he like double checks it just to like make sure that it's real, that he wasn't just dreaming. And then when he wakes up, he gets a phone call from his friend Kyle.
Yeah,
and Kyle's
dude, but on this automated like machine that's like set up to his computer called Igor, which I'm telling you,
yes,
and if I was a gambling man, I would say the developers of Apple watch this and they develop Siri, as well as fucking. I know it seems like a long shot, but tell me that fucking Igor is not the prototype for fucking Siri. Oh, Igor, dial this, boom, then shows their fucking face, right? Pictures of them. Kind of like when you get a call and you've, got their fucking contact photo saved and shit. Like,
yeah, well, you know what, dude? You know what I think is cool, dude, about like these movies, right? That are kind of like this technology-based horror movies, I guess you could say, right? Like Lawnmower Man is one of them, and that's kind of like VR. And then you have what's that movie with Clint Howard? Is it Evil Speak? I think has to do with a video game or technology or something like that. So it's like cool that these are like a time capsule. Computer, right? Computer-based horror games, shit like that, or video games and what have you.
I think it's like the Commodore, I think was the system at the time.
But they're just like a cool time capsule, and it's just like cool to see like the progression over time as far as like what like they were thinking where technology was going and stuff,
how far off they always were for the most part.
Right.
Except for here, I'm telling you, bro, Igor was the prototype for Siri. Bet.
Could be. I wish I could change my Siri to Igor. But little fact, dude, the guy who plays Trickster, he does the voice for Igor, uncredited. And he was like Trickster, I don't think was initially supposed to actually be like a big part of the movie. He kind of like later came, right? So he had gotten hired initially just to do the voice for Igor. So
I'm happy he did become a big part of the movie. Because like you said, dude, he is the mascot. He has the Sammy Kerr vibes. Great fucking character, awesome look.
Yeah, we'll get to talking about the Trickster later.
Yeah, so again, he's talking to his boy Kyle. He's like, "Yo, check out the most recent Fangoria magazine," where he reads off the ad to Brainscan.
Yeah, it's the scariest video game you'll ever experience, and it's like this altered state of reality that they use to put you in the video game.
Yeah, which is funny because like at this time Sega CD is coming out and they really tried to make it like almost like very cinematic interactive game. That's like kind of how it was marketed.
Well, they were doing like cutscenes that were like that of real
Movies and shit. It did not go over well, like looking back on it. But yeah, you could see
At least they gave it a try.
yeah, this movie's definitely with the times of the early to mid 90s, and yeah, I just love it, dude. And you see like Mike is this big horror fan, same with his boy Kyle. You could see all their horror posters and shit in the background. They
Dude,
both
I love
punk
his
rock
room.
metal kids. Yeah. It's a sick room, dude.
It's
And
got
it
like that
reminds me
whole
of,
loft in the house. Okay, are you gonna say that it reminds you of Hey Arnold's room?
no, I was gonna say it reminds me of Ragman's room going back to Trick or Treat.
It does. That as
You know,
well.
with
But
all
it
the
also,
posters and shit.
but it also reminds me of Hey Arnold's room because Hey
Yeah, I can
Arnold.
see that too.
Hey Arnold was a room that all of us as
All of
kids
us
we were
wanted
like,
Hey
we were
Arnold-
like,
fucking
that
Arnold's
fucking
room.
is so sick.
Absolutely.
So Michael's room in this movie is 100% a room that I would like too, man. Because like you were saying, dude, it's got the horror posters, it's got all the tapes and the video games and the fucking big TV and stereo system.
Yeah.
And it's just like a big loft layout, which is like super fucking dope too. So, but yeah, definitely some Ragman inspiration too.
Yeah, man. And then like, so while he's on the phone, we then see Michael creeping on his neighbor Kimberly, which is very fucking weird because he fucking brings out a recording camera and he's like recording her like getting changed. And it's just real creepy. But
She knows.
she knows.
And
She
she's
knows.
getting off on it too.
Yeah, she's secretly like watching him too, which is later revealed. But tell me again, yo, do you not get Disturbia vibes?
Of course.
You know, like
Of
they
course.
definitely watched this movie, dude. They definitely
Yeah.
watched this movie and were like,
Disturbia,
Yeah.
Rear Window, the voyeuristic aspect
Yeah.
in these movies, you know, the neighbor spying on the neighbor spying on the other neighbor. And then I
Yeah.
mean, even in Disturbia, like when Shia
even
LaBeouf
in-
was home, there was the party that was going on next door.
I was
which-
just gonna say, the
Yeah.
whole party scene, and then he like blares his fucking metal music
Yeah.
and shit, and it's just like, yeah, man, absolutely. So I definitely think like the directors of Disturbia totally like took some pages out of here,
Oh, yeah,
which
of
I'm
course.
with, man, because I love Disturbia too.
So
That's a
do
great
I. I
movie.
think about it all the time. When I'm at
Yeah.
work, I get that Rihanna song, Disturbia, in my head, bro. Like that's a good fucking era of movies as well, man. Was the era like when Disturbia was coming out, when
Yeah.
Shia had that fucking run too.
Yeah,
Shia has
yeah.
always been good. Shia's my boy. I love Shia.
Good actor, just some questionable like other aspects, but he was a great actor, man.
He's been through a lot, man. He's been through a lot of shit, Shia. He's been through a lot of shit.
So then we skip to like the next day, right? And Mike's hosting this horror club where they're all watching fucking some movie called Death, Death, Death in the computer classroom.
When is she gonna pull out the gallbladder? And he's like, right
Yeah.
now.
And then the principal walks in and shuts this down. Like, what the hell's going on here? Which is so funny because this reminds me of the time. So our science class like did like really good on like our tests and shit, and we got to like pick a movie, and I don't know, no one can decide. And I was like, yo, let's watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I was watching it last night.
My fucking science teacher, Mr. Finelli, shout out to him. He was a great guy, great teacher, fun guy. He ended up picking up. He's like, Steve, you didn't tell me I'd have to fucking rent this on well, he didn't say fucking, but you didn't tell me I'd have to rent this on VHS. So he rented it. He got pizza for the class. We watched it one Friday after school. So this kind of took me back to like that time.
What a cool fucking teacher, dude. And that's a pretty solid memory. I never fucking had that. Although I had one teacher one time who played us Twilight Zone, and it was like Nightmare at 20,000 Feet with William Shatner.
Classic. Yeah.
So that was like one
episode.
of the first episodes. So that was like the only time like I had ever had that experience of, you know, watching something that was like of my interest and in my world in school.
Yeah.
So, but good call
Yeah, it
on the
was
Killer
super
Clowns,
sick,
man.
man.
It's fun for the whole family, dude. Like,
Yeah.
anybody could watch.
Because he said
movie.
as long as it's PG-13, and I was like, yep, it's PG-13. And yeah, he was cool with it. He actually enjoyed it himself. He watched it with us, of course. And
One of my
it was just
favorites.
really, really fucking cool, man. And so it just brought me back to that time. And it's so funny because like the principal that shuts it down and pulls him into the office because he's like, what is this? And he's like, a gallbladder.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah, he's
real
berating.
smart ass.
Yeah, he's berating him about, the fucking the movies that the movies that they were watching, and he asks Michael in the movie, he's like, why do you watch these movies? And he's like, because it's kind of an escape. And if you think about it too, like, because of the trauma and shit that like he's experienced with his mother, man, like he seems super desensitized, to horror movies and video games and shit. Because when Kyle is talking to him in the beginning of the movie, Kyle's like hyped up and he's like, dude, this is the scariest video game ever. And then he's like, whatever, man. He's like, I've played them all, whatever, So he's like talking to him, and like Edward's being a bit of a fucking smartass to him. And he's like, what is this? And he's like, a gallbladder. And doesn't he say like what movie is it? He's like, death, death, death. He's like, death, death, death. Part 2.
And he's like, part 2.
Yeah.
And that's the funny part, is the principal's like, part 2?
Yeah.
Like, he's just appalled, like, that there's even a first one. Which, going back to the principal real quick, did his face look familiar?
No, but tell me.
Yo, it's the neighbor Colonel from Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes Goosebumps episode.
No shit.
Yeah, man.
I gotta
Which
go
is
look.
funny too, because this is shot in Montreal, and a lot of Goosebumps was shot in either Montreal or British Columbia.
Oh man, all of Goosebumps was fucking shot
That's
in
so
Canada.
fucking
That's where Ryan
Canadian.
Gosling
So
got his
Canadian.
start, man.
Exactly. Fucking say cheese and die, man.
Yeah, that's where Ryan Gosling
So
got his
I
start.
thought that was really cool.
Good call.
To see the fucking Colonel, showing up. And yeah, man, he's just giving the full lecture. He's like, you get off to this, like, marijuana cigarettes and shit.
Yeah,
It's
he's
just
like,
so funny.
smoking a marijuana cigarette, and just like kind of like taking the edge off. It's kind of like he's like preaching like this fucking PSA about, like this kind of stuff. So then, so he shuts the shit down. And he's like, dude, he's like, Horror Club is fucking canceled. And he's like, moving forward, anytime you want to show a movie and or video game, it has to go through me first, and I need to approve it, if I fucking approve it. And that's the end of it when it comes to the Horror Club, man. So then, and then we cut back and we're back at his house, right? We're back at Michael's house. So he goes home and doesn't he go through the mail?
Yeah, he goes through the mail, but he does call the Brainscan ad.
1-800-555-FEAR.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it. He talks to the automated trickster, and
so he thinks it's automated.
Yeah, he initially thinks it's automated, but then Trickster's like, oh, hello, Michael, and then he's kind of like taken back by it, and he's like, oh, I thought you were like, just like a voice, like a robot or something like that. And then Trickster like proceeds to like, tell him about the video game, and he's like, it's like the scariest, most interactive video game, and it taps into your subconscious through the blinking system in your television. And Michael's desensitized and skeptical on it, and then Trickster gives him a little bit of a jolt through the television, and then he has this moment where he's like freaking out, and I guess it's just like these waves are like going through him, and like I said, Trickster tells him, you provide the inspiration, and then we take it from there. And he tells him, he's like, it's been decided, you're going to play Death by Design, and then you're going to have to play all four of the games. And if you don't,
there's 3 discs.
Is it 3 discs? I thought it was 4. Either way, he's going to have to go through all of them. And if he doesn't, it could be bad news if he doesn't make it through.
He receives the first disc on the night of a party going on next door. Kimberly's having. And again, that Disturbia callback when, he sees the neighbor, that his love interest having the party, and then he blares his music.
Yeah, but you want to know the thing about it, though, is like he sees that the party's going on, and since, that's his love interest, I think he was upset that he wasn't invited to the party, right? So he's like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm gonna just, totally fucking eliminate, shut myself out. I'm going to play the game. So he's like, Igor, he's like, we're going dark, and shuts everything down, and he starts to get into the video game. But we find out that Kimberly tried reaching out to him. She tried calling him, but, he shut himself out. So he doesn't know that she wanted him to come to the party. So she's just like, whatever. So Michael is now going to put himself into Brainscan.
Yeah, and this is where the game starts, and the objective is he has to murder someone who...
He's like, think like a
is
killer. Put yourself into the mind of the killer. He's like, don't leave any witnesses, don't leave any clues, and you have to complete the game in an hour. You only have an hour to do it. So he puts himself into the game, and then boom, we were thrown into like this first person this like POV of the killer, right? And it was a little Jallo-esque if you had seen it.
I was waiting for you to say it,
fuck
man.
You.
I was waiting. I said,
as soon as you saw the gloves,
I saw that. I said, Nick's gonna pop and say, very Jallo-like.
Very Jallo-y.
Which, you're not wrong, man. You're not. The black gloves, the knife, the POV. Totally, definitely think they were going for that vibe there. And yeah, he stabs this dude while he's sleeping. At first he's hesitant, but then like you hear the trickster like, do it. Yeah. Like fucking Emperor Palpatine over here.
Do it. There you go. Yeah. Let the evil flow
he
through
does. Yeah. He stabs him, but the dude's not dead yet. Like he like kind of pops up. The killer fucking, or Edward Furlong's fucking character in the video game, fucking clocks him in the face, and then he's like, now you need to take the foot. So he severs the foot off with the butcher knife.
Artistic.
Yeah. Which, dude, good amount of blood in this scene.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of blood in this scene, dude. It was a very violent scene as well.
Yeah. So yeah, he gets the foot and he completes the objective with 9 minutes to spare. And boom, it zaps him out of the game, right? And he's all intense. He's like, whoa, holy shit. Like, that was crazy. And then he does something really fucking disgusting, which is chugs a glass of milk.
Yes,
like a fucking psycho.
Yes, and I fucking wanted to bring that up to you because what fucking movie were we just recently watching? And we were like, who does that? Like, who has a glass of fucking milk with their dinner?
I feel like maybe it was Body Melt, maybe.
I don't know, but I know that
we did bring it up before in a previous episode.
Yes.
A very recent one.
So he pops out of the fucking game, dude, and he's like drenched in fucking sweat, dude. Like this shit was intense. Like he had a real experience being in this fucking video game, man. So he comes out and he's like, yeah, and he's like, I completed it and I had 9 minutes to spare, and he like just eats some fucking food, some TV dinner, and then he chugs a glass of milk, and it's like pouring down his neck.
It's so fucking nasty.
It's gross, man.
Yo,
I've never been a milk guy, bro.
Nah, man, never. Even as a kid, man, this shit grosses me out. And like, I can't watch someone just chug milk like that. Ugh, it's so gross. I like have to leave the room.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's the next day, and him and Kyle are they're walking home. Michael's telling Kyle about like the game and shit and how awesome it is. He's like, yo, it really lives up to the hype. And Kyle's like, yeah, dude, let me borrow it, this and that. He's like, I just want to play it a couple more times. Michael's saying to him. And then we see the police zipping by, right? Michael just, on his way home, they part ways after going buddies forever.
Yeah.
And they give the most awkward high five I think I've ever seen.
It's a super cheesy saying.
You couldn't have done.
Like,
yeah, no, it really is.
Like, imagine me and you, like, after every fucking time, like, we hung out, dude. It's just like, buddies forever, Steven?
Buddies forever, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
I know. Like, they could have done, like, a quick fist pound and just like, yo, I'll catch you later, man.
Right. Yeah, peace, later,
peace,
whatever.
Yeah, later.
Buddies forever. But I guess like it kind of like they're just kind of trying to really push the fact that, they're real tight best friends and stuff because it plays into, a bigger aspect of the movie later on.
Yeah. And then so Mike is like zipping by on his fucking moped, and he shows up to the crime scene where, you see the police taking the body out and shit. He's like, what the fuck's going on here? And this is where we're introduced to Lieutenant Hayden. He's like, hey kid, do you know these people? Are they friends of yours? He's like, nah, I just live like 3 blocks down. He's like, all right, well, you're at a police crime scene, so go mind your business. Go do your homework.
Yeah, go do your homework.
Much just like, get out of here.
Yeah.
And it's funny too because like Michael's staring at like the blood splatter on the road or whatever from the body bag or whatever. And he's instantly, you could tell he's like taken back to the car accident scene where he lost his mom.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, he's got some post-traumatic stress disorder from that for sure.
So yeah, after Michael gets home from the crime scene, he makes a call to the 1-800-555-FEAR. The number doesn't seem to work. But then he gets a call, and it's the trickster. And he wants him to play the second game. But before that, he tells Michael to check his freezer.
Yeah, because when he's at the crime scene as the killer, playing as the killer, when he severs the foot, you hear the trickster, tell him, put it in a special place. And, so...
He opens up the freezer and there's the foot.
Yeah.
And Michael's in disbelief. He's like, no, this was just a fucking game. This can't be real. This wasn't supposed to be real.
Yeah, it was just supposed to be a fucking video game. And then the trickster calls him.
Yeah, then the trickster calls him, and that's when he's like, you need to play disc 2, and Michael's not about it. He's like, no, I'm not going to continue. And that's where the trickster manifests himself into the real world again, just like fucking Sammy Kerr coming out of the fucking record player in Trick or Treat.
Yep.
It's fucking awesome.
And then this time the trickster comes through the TV. So I think I think, since the game taps into your subconscious, I think at that point, like, the trickster knew that Michael was like, I'm not playing this fucking game anymore. So he had to continue it. So that's why he definitely manifested himself. So he comes through the TV, and then we finally see the fucking trickster, dude. So I love the trickster, man. He's got a fucking big red mullet, and he's like wearing like this sick fucking like ox blood looking suit, and he's got a nose ring, and he's got these Nosferatu looking fingers, and like these monster teeth, man. And I just
great character design.
Yeah, dude, he was just a great character. Whoever did the effects for it, dude, like did a really good job, man. Because it's kind of like you have like this. The word I like to use is like the uncanny valley, where it's like he almost looks like a game character, and he almost doesn't look human, but he also has like these human characteristics. He's got like this wide nose and like the weird looking like bridge. Like he looks human but doesn't look human. Looks like a weird like sideshowy kind of guy, but I love the way that he looks. And he introduces himself, and he's like, "Let me introduce yourself." He's like, "I am the trickster." And he's like,
great introduction.
He's your evil ally, man, and
yeah.
he fucking, tells Michael pretty much like you have to continue the game.
So yeah, after the trickster manifests himself, he said, you have to play disc 2 because there's a witness. And he's like, but don't worry, I won't tell. And he starts fucking like breaking his fingers, right? And like just like self-mutilating himself by gouging his eyes, this and that. And he said, you could put me through any punishment, I won't tell, except for don't play country western, because every man has his limits. And that fucking line popped me so hard, because you know how much I can't stand country music.
Oh man, I like me some country.
Listen, some Johnny Cash, some Willie Nelson, sure,
right?
But that's about it.
New country, no, not so much. I'll listen to like older country for sure.
Or Shania? Do you count Shania Twain?
I love Shania, dude. Shania Twain was like one of my.
Love Shania.
She was one of my earliest crushes, bro. I love Shania Twain, man. Yeah.
So if
I feel like a woman.
Yeah.
Good shit.
No, so if you count Shania Twain too, she gets a pass.
Yeah, I count her for sure. Dixie Chicks, shit like that.
Yo, remember real quick, just on country, even though I hate it, remember when we were playing that fucking face-up game, and you were like, all right, country singer, and I just immediately was like, Garth Brooks.
Yep.
Or some shit.
There you
just
go.
Like, right, without hesitation, got that shit
One of
right.
the most famous.
Yeah. But yeah, so that line fucking popped me, and then he's like, yeah, so you have to complete disc 2. And Michael's like, I'm done with this shit. Right? So he goes and he buries the foot.
Yeah, to get rid of the evidence. Hold on one second. Just to go back though, like, so the trickster's really cool though, because he's going through Michael's shit. He's going through his CDs, and he's like, Michael, don't you have anything good? And then he pulls out a CD, and he's like, I'll never leave home without it. And then he proceeds to play Primus. And it's just yeah,
that's right.
It's so
this soundtrack.
The soundtrack was good, man. Yeah.
Dude, the fucking one song that's playing when Michael's severing the foot, it's like imagine 9 Inch Nails mixed with like black metal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
I gotta
cool.
find out like what band that is because that shit was
Yeah,
pretty dope.
we could look it up on the IMDb.
But yeah,
they'll have
that's
the
cool
soundtrack.
that like Primus fucking
It's
makes his
fitting
way
for him,
into.
like, dude. And Primus was
Yeah.
huge in the '90s, and it's
Uh-huh.
such a fucking trickster band to listen to because
Yeah.
like Primus is just out there, man. I love Primus, man.
Oh, they are very out there.
Jerry was
my dad was a Primus fan.
Jerry was a race car driver. I love that song. Reminds me of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. So moving on, like you were saying, yeah. So Michael's going into the woods because he's trying to get rid of the evidence, and he goes to bury the foot. And then when he's going to try to bury the foot, he's interrupted by a dog, a golden retriever.
Dude, no, it's a rock. Or I'm sorry, it's a
Oh no,
German
a German
Shepherd.
Shepherd. My bad. I don't know why I was
Dude,
thinking golden
this
retriever.
dog shows up. Keep in mind, this dog shows up. For those that are like listening and watching it, we've never seen. This dog shows up like multiple times. This dog is a character of its own.
Yeah, he shows up. Yeah, like three
Like
or four
four times.
You see him
yeah.
in the beginning. Beginning.
Yeah.
He like walks up to the house, which is like weird. So I wonder like what the purpose was of it, of the dog. Because it might be like, you know, because like thinking about it now, like, yeah, if he's like, if the dog's a reoccurring character, I don't know, man, maybe he's like Edward's fucking guardian or some shit, you know, like looking over him or something, because like,
Maybe.
you know, when he's going, go on.
What if it's the trickster in like a shape-shifted form?
Ooh, yeah.
Just a theory.
Who knows? We'll have to ask Andrew Kevin Walker what his idea was behind it. And I also really wanted to mention that this movie was written by Andrew Kevin Walker. Andrew Kevin Walker is one of my favorite writers, man. You know what he did?
No, what else did he do?
Seven. He's a writer of
shit.
Seven. This was one of his. This was one of the first movies he had written, man. And
Very cool.
He says that he really loves this movie. He says it's fun and it's goofy.
It is.
But he didn't have any part in it aside from writing it, to be honest with you, because like he went and he wrote this movie and everything, and then this whole thing had come from like a bankruptcy or something. It was only made due because of a bankruptcy. And he said just like one day he just found out that Brainscan was fucking made, and that was that. But he's fond of it, I suppose.
Well, that's cool that he still like acknowledges it and is still like
He's a great writer,
fan
man.
of it.
He's a great writer. And you had brought up like the first X-Men, was that like 2002, 2003, that initial
2000.
one, right? So he had written for that, but I guess it didn't.
Oh, shit.
I guess it didn't happen. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man, he's like a big comic book guy, dude. He's like written shit for like Superman, Batman vs Superman, X-Men, all that shit, and it just never happened. But he's such a good fucking writer. He's got a movie coming out with David Fincher. Just say real quick, it's called The Killer. It's got Michael Fassbender. It's coming out in November. I'll send you the trailer, dude. Like David Fincher, Andrew Kevin Walker, Endgame fucking combo for me, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
So, and they also did an episode of Love, Death, and Robots. I think it was called like The Bad Passenger or something like that. Very good, very good. So, anyways, let's get back. So, when he's in the woods and he's trying to bury the foot, this dog who we suspect might be, you know, a trickster, or just some kind of guardian, whatever. He like tells him, he's like, please go, I'll never ask you for anything again, anything like that. And then he starts getting spooked because the dog's owner is coming through the woods looking for the dog. So he fucking hides out underneath these fucking bushes, and the dog, you know, walks away with his owner, everything, and Michael doesn't get caught, but it's a pretty good scene because you think he's gonna get caught, dude. And that's the smoking
close.
gun.
It's close.
And I mean, not only is it the severed foot, but the fucking guy had like a tattoo on his foot of like, you know, some snake
so
on a
it's very
cross or something like
distinctive.
that.
Yeah. So then Michael makes his way over to Kimberly's house. Like he wants to speak to her. Right. So he like knocks on her door and her parents answer and they call her down. But right before she can make her way down, the mom turns on the TV and we get the news story of like this murder that just happened. And Michael sees it and he's just like,
well,
I gotta go. I'm not feeling too
yeah,
good.
tell her I'll talk to her later. You know, like
Yeah.
this really puts the fucking fear in him, man. It really just shows that like, no, yeah, this is a real deal, and these fucking guys are investigating this shit now, and man,
And he's like, I'm fucked. I'm
what
fucked right now,
what a
man.
realization.
Yeah. So he he's in like hideout mode. He's skipping school. Kyle shows up and is like, "Hey man, where you've been? Yo, do you got that copy of Brainscan? I want to play." And Mike's just like, "No, stop bothering me about it." They get into like a fucking fight. And it's funny too because like, Mike shuts the door in his face, but then Kyle keeps ringing, and then fucking
He
Mike
opens the
opens the
door.
door just so fucking Kyle could flip him off.
Yeah, and
That was fucking
he's like,
funny,
and
man.
he's like this. He's like, fuck
Dude,
you.
double fingers, bro.
This is like
that shit is funny.
This is like them and their friendship, kind of like, splitting up a little bit, But it was for his own good though. It was for Kyle's own good though, because this game was fucked up. It spooked him real bad, and like it caused him to commit a real murder. So
And then Kimberly shows up and she's like, "Oh, I heard you were sick. I brought you your homework, this, that, and the other." And he's like, "Yeah, I stopped by to talk to you about." Yes, and that's where he sees like, the news story about the murder. And he'd mentioned he stopped by her house to ask about something homework early, and she's like, "We don't have any classes together."
she brings the mail too, and this is when we get the second copy of Brainscan in the mail. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't order this." So he's a little fucking he's worried
tricked
now.
out.
Yeah, he's tricked out.
He pretty much gives her the hint, like, "Look, you gotta go," and she's like, "All right, I guess I'll see myself out." So he shuts out, and he's like, he fucking trashes the disc, right? He like takes it and he just fucking tosses it, and then he gets a call from Brainscan or the trickster, and he's like, "Play the second disc." He's like, "Oh, I trashed it, this and that," and Trickster's like doesn't believe him. And yeah, the trickster shows right back up.
Yeah, and ultimately he convinces him that he needs to, continue the second part of the game, and then he tells him like there was a witness and there was a clue, and he needs to go and make it right.
So the objective now for disc 2 is to, again, kill the witness, get rid of the witness. But before he plays disc 2, Mike sets up his video camera and records like a confession video. And he's like, "Look, if I truly am the murderer, this is my confession video." And he records himself.
Yeah, and then he plays the game.
We don't see what goes on. We just see him come back from the game, right? And then he reviews the video footage. And that's where he sees that while playing the game, thinking like, "Oh, I woke back up in my chair." In the video, he gets up. So he's like, "Oh, fuck. I'm really doing this, aren't I?" And then he checks the freezer because he gets a call from the trickster.
Check the
and
freezer.
There's fucking Kyle's bloody necklace.
So Kyle was the second victim, so he's like freaking the fuck out now.
Yeah, and he calls Kyle's house, and someone picks up, and Mike's just screaming, "Kyle, like, talk to me!" And it's Lieutenant Hayden. He's like, "Who's this?" And then Mike fucking hangs
Later,
up the phone.
He hangs up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the detective's at the scene of the crime, and there is Kyle's room, and it is a bloody fucking mess.
Yeah, you don't expect, like, you're like, "Oh shit, dude, fucking Kyle's dead."
Well, you see though, man, it's like it taps into the subconscious, so he's having his little bit of a falling out with Kyle at this point. So, and I mean, it's his best friend too. So like that really sucks that.
Yeah, so he's still at home, not showing up, and that's when fucking Kimberly comes by, and she's like, "Hey, I'm sorry about Kyle. I just wanted to tell you he showed up at my door like the night before, the same night that he was murdered, to get me to sign this petition about bringing back the horror club, and said that you guys had a falling out." And that's where, like, Mike just, like, confesses, like, not confesses, but like, "Yeah, I miss him already, this and that." And that line, hold on to that line, because then Mike gets a fucking visit from Lieutenant Hayden, because Lieutenant Hayden showed up at the school and was interviewing like all of like Kyle's friends or those that knew Kyle, and it's linked back to Mike being his best friend, and all of the classmates were saying like how weird Mike is.
Yeah,
and he's just a
they really had
creep and
nothing
he's
good to
strange.
say about him. Just kind of like seemed like a bit of an outcast, super weird, questionable individual.
Yeah, and it's Lieutenant Hayden is like very
Stoic.
Lieutenant Hayden, like you said, he's very stoic, and he seems suspecting of Mike. He's just kind of like,
Well, Michael showed up to two of the crime scenes in a sense. Like the first crime scene was the car crash, which he wasn't involved in, and he shows up, around the first killing of the man in his house. And when he meets him, the detective, he's is questionable, and he confronts him, and Michael's like, I can explain. And he's like, you have nothing to explain, or do you?
yeah,
But who would be suspecting of a 15-year-old kid like committing such a heinous act like that? So, now he's even more suspicious because they're friends, and he made the phone call, and he was on the other end, when he had called the crime scene. So like, this fucking kid is not doing himself any favors.
none whatsoever. Trickster shows up to congratulate Mike on completing Disc 2, and Mike's freaking out. I'm like, you fucking killed Kyle. It's a very like, you killed Kenny kind of.
Yeah.
It takes me to South Park because
Mhm.
South Park was hot at the time, and yeah, he's like, no, you killed Kyle. I watched you. This, that, and the other. And Mike's just like, this is truly it. This has gone far enough. I've lost my best friend. The trickster's like, well, did you read the school paper? And starts reading it. And that's where we see the quote, man, I miss him already, talking about Kyle. So Kimberly, she got her story, man. He thought he was having like a personal, intimate moment with her.
Yeah, and she had like the ulterior motive, and she was just trying to get a scoop, and that really fucking pisses him off, and that upsets him. But this is Trickster manipulating him. This is like what the
100%.
Trickster's really good at. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You think he's your friend, and like we had that scene where the Trickster did all that shit to show just like how loyal he was to Michael when he breaks his fingers and he pokes his eyes out, and he's like, I would never rat you out, essentially. And at this point, he tells Michael, he's like, there was a witness, and there was a clue left at the scene of the crime, and you need to go and correct it if you don't want to get caught. And then at this point, Michael realizes that the clue which was left was his footprint. And Michael has a very distinct footprint because, I don't know if we mentioned it, he has a limp. He has a limp because of the car crash. So he's like limping all throughout his house. So anytime you see him walking around, he's got a limp. So for him, going to the crime scene, and there was a limp footprint, which is a smoking gun right there,
And the trickster pretty much again manipulates him as like, this can all end. You don't got to kill anyone. You just have to cover up the clue. That's it. Play Disc 3, cover up the clue, and this can all be over.
And the fact that and the fact that he doesn't have to kill or do anything else, obviously probably makes him feel a bit more at ease to continue on. He's like, all right, all I got to do is just, cover my tracks at this point. So he's like, all right. Yeah, it's literally cover his tracks. So he's like, all right, fuck it. He's like, all right, I'll play. But what's happening now is the detective is now kind of forming like this group of townspeople to do like a neighborhood watch. So they're all, because there's a killer on the loose. Like there's been 2 fucking killers now. Who knows when they'll strike again. So he's recruiting all of these, guys and girls throughout the town to, you know, do like I said, like the neighborhood watch, but he makes it very fucking clear that there's not going to be any guns or any weapons, and anybody who might, you know, have a gun or anything like that and have any intent to use it's going to get locked up, no doubt. So this kind of puts an obstacle in the way for Michael when he goes to the house to cover his tracks. Very video game like though, right? Like Trickster's not going to make it easy for him. It's not going to just be like this straight path. He's going to throw some of these obstacles in there. So Michael's now in the game, and Michael's fucking, or actually no, take that back. He's not in the game, right? Or is he? You see,
No,
like
he,
that.
he is.
That's
he
the
is
thing.
in the game.
But now it's not. Now we know that Michael's the killer, so we're not in the first person. So that's like what like threw me off. We're like seeing him from the movie, you know, as a viewer, right? And he's like going back to the house, and he's trying to cover up his tracks because he sees it in the flower bed right outside of Kyle's window. So inside the house is the detective's partner, and he's like dusting for fingerprints and collecting evidence like that. And then he gets a call from the trickster, and the trickster rats him out. He rats fucking Michael out, and he like tells him he's like the killer's nearby, or the killer's outside, or something like that. Or yeah, like he just like warns the cop that Michael's outside without saying Michael, obviously. So now the cop, you know, goes to look outside, and Michael's covering up the tracks, and then he's like running away as he looks out the fucking window, and the heat is on.
And that's where like Michael's like trying to go into hiding, because also you got the search party, and someone's onto him. Like he's seen, and it turns out to be the fucking principal. And he tries to like hold him down and detain him, and they're right by like some house being renovated or worked on, and there's like a scaffold and a bunch of bricks, and Michael knocks the principal into it, which causes like all of like the scaffolding material and bricks to crush the principal. So now we have another person dead, even though it was just an accident, but it's another body, and he's already pretty much a suspect. So he flees into hiding, and then the dog shows up again, that fucking German Shepherd, man, and almost breaks his cover, but he's like, look, seriously, like, I know I've asked you before, but I'm asking you again, if just please, like, leave me alone. So the dog goes away.
Yeah, he's like a search dog now, too, yeah. Apparently, like, yeah. You know? So, yeah, so the dog ends up going away, and then I guess Michael comes to a point where, like, he feels like it's safe to leave, and, you know, he ends up leaving the basement of the house, which is under construction. And then there's a scene where the cop who's after him kind of comes out of the shadows, and it startles one of the guys who is part of the search party, and the guy shoots him and fucking kills him. Kills the detective, the other detective, not our main detective. And
the sergeant or whatever.
The sergeant, yeah. So like that's really fucked up, first off. And then he's like running through the woods, and then he's like hiding again, and then he's like found by like another police officer, and you think like this is it, like this kid's caught, whatever. But the kid's never like the real suspect, whatever. So the guy tells him, he's like, "What are you doing? The killer's just been caught. Get home." Or the killer's just been caught. You go home. Right? So he like lets him go. And then cuts to, you know, our main detective. He's you know,
Lieutenant Hayden shows up,
yeah,
and he just sees that his partner's dead, and he's like, which one of you did it? Which one of you wants to tell his wife? Like, you guys fucked up. I told you, like, absolutely no one uses a gun.
Yeah.
And sure enough, someone got trigger happy.
Yep.
And that's where we see Mike now making his way to his house, and he's leaving the woods. But guess who's watching him? Kimberly. And she's like, oh, what's going on, Mike? You know, she calls out to him too, I believe. And she's like, are you okay? Do you need to talk? This and that. And he doesn't want to, because they had a little confrontation earlier where she's like yelling outside his window. And she's like, Mike, please talk to me, this and that. And he throws the paper down at her. And she's like, oh, it wasn't me that put your quote in. It was my friend.
Yeah, well, how the fuck would your friend know? You were just having a little bit of a conversation, and you're like, oh, Michael fucking said all this shit, and I'm going to put it in the paper. Nah, man, she's fucking lying.
She could be lying, but it's notoriously mentioned, like, not notorious, but it is mentioned that, like, her best friend Stacy's kind of a bitch.
Is it the girl with the fucking the beanie
Beret?
or whatever the hell it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
Berets were a big thing in the 90s.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
Yeah. Like, remember Doug's sister Judy? She was always wearing a beret.
Yeah, that popped in my head right before you had said it. Same fucking wavelength as usual.
Yeah.
All right.
As usual. But yeah, so he makes his way up to his room, Mike does, and that's where the trickster fucking hops back on. And he's like, there's just one more objective. You covered your tracks, but there's one more objective. And that's Kimberly saw you leaving the woods.
She's
so
the
now
witness.
She's a witness.
Yep.
You know what you have to do, Michael. He's like, this could all go away right now. He said you were pretty much like saying like you were close. Like you completed the objective, but because Kimberly saw you, now you have to finish. And he's got like 15 minutes left of the game. So that's where he goes back into Disc 3 of Brainscan. And he shows up to Kimberly's house, grabs a pair of scissors, and starts making his way up there. And Kimberly's like just peacefully sleeping, and it's pretty much suggested that he's going to stab her in her sleep, just like the first murder.
Yeah, and I mean, he's like really torn too, because like he's like, shit,
that's his girl.
Yeah, he's
that's
like,
his
it's
love
my,
interest.
it's my girl. It's my, it's my love. It's
and
his love
he
interest,
can't do it. It's he can't do it.
No, so I mean, it's gonna take his ally to help him. So then the trickster presents himself,
and that's when Mike, instead of stabbing Kimberly, stabs the trickster. But there's no harm done to the trickster, and that's when he's like, "Don't you realize we're one and the same?"
Very Fight Clubby. Oh, dude,
right? Oh, wait. Did he had nothing to do with Fight Club? Did he?
He didn't write it, but he did have part in in some revisions for Fight Club. So wow.
I wonder if
so Andrew Kevin Walker, man. I don't know, man. Did you?
Damn. I mean, we could be reaching, but I don't know. Certain dots kind of connect a little bit. Maybe.
It's very narrator Tyler Durden like.
Yes, dude.
Yeah, he's like, we're one and the same. So that was the big reveal. I mean, anybody's seen Fight Club. I mean, that's the big reveal in Fight Club is that there was no Tyler Durden. So there was no trickster.
There was no trickster.
They're one and the same.
So it's cool though, because like the trickster, like these CGI effects, they don't fucking date well.
Right.
Very dated. They just don't hold up. But pretty much the trickster absorbs and pulls in Mike.
Yeah.
And they become one and the same. And this part's cool because it's Mike's body with the trickster's fucking eyes.
Yeah. Dude.
And his voice. That shit looked awesome.
There's an alternate cut of this where they morph and fuse together. But instead of it being like Michael having characteristics, not really, it's just like the eyes and just like a little bit of the face, but it's like very thing like where it's like very body horror-esque. So yeah, no, it's fucking super cool, man, but they just kind of felt like it didn't really fit with the rest of the movie. But dude, like it looks so fucking cool, man. I wish he was like crawling on the bed and the legs were like all this. It was kind of like
that would be cool to see.
It was kind of like when we were talking Evil Dead. And you know, like at the end when it's like the mega fucking right? So when they all fuse together and shit, it was like very similar to that.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I definitely want to check this out after the episode ends.
Cool.
But yeah, so the trickster fully possesses Mike, and he's about to like finish the job, and that's where like Kimberly like wakes up, and she's like trying to talk sense into Mike, and she's like, "Don't you understand? Like I love you." Like, I watch you too. See, like, I take pictures of you. I know that you've been watching me. And, like, this kind of puts Mike at a halt. And maybe, like, the other side of him is trying to battle, like, the trickster side.
Yeah, there's always, like, that kind of aspect in any kind of movie when there's a situation like this where it's, like, there are main characters battling, the evil inside of him and stuff. And, you know, it's kind of like in Dead Heat when Joe Piscopo, turned when he gets killed, and then at the end when Treat is Roger Mortis is trying to talk to him, and he has I forgot what he had mentioned, but he mentions something from earlier on in the movie when they had a conversation, and it pulls you back. It pulls, so same thing.
So yeah, Kimberly, like, with her trying to talk sense into Mike, admitting that she loves him and she doesn't care like what he's done, it kind of like snaps him out of it, and that's where like the trickster reforms or manifests back to its own self. And then he's like, "You lose, Michael," and that's when he reveals Lieutenant Hayden, who comes in and shoots Michael, and you're like, "Game over." Or yeah, so pretty much Trickster's like, "Game over," and you think Michael's dead, but boom, he like zaps out of it and he wakes up out of brain scan. But it's crazy because he wakes up from the night of the party where he put in disc 1.
The whole thing about the video game was, the trickster even says he's like, for the next 2 hours, like, you're going to be into it. So yeah, after he ends up getting shot by the detective, it snaps him out of the game. He loses the game, but we find out that he has actually been in the fucking video game the entire time, and he's just been playing out this whole game, and the whole movie has just been him playing out this whole scenario for the last hour and a half that we've been watching the movie. And I just think like that's such cool fucking writing, because like you forget about what is being said, and you forget that, this is tapping into your subconscious. Yeah. This is, something that it's just like a really totally immersive fucking video game. So he's just been playing it the entire time unknowingly, and we didn't know it either. So I think that's awesome writing.
Yeah, no, definitely a good twist.
He's got the milk right next to him, like just like right in the beginning, and you can hear the music and the party still going on. So right from when he logged in, that's where we end up after he ends up getting shot and losing the fucking video game because he doesn't kill Kimberly's love interest.
And this is funny because like after that point, he decides to destroy all his fucking computer equipment. And he's like, "Fuck it, I'm going to go touch grass now. Fuck technology. I'm going to go touch grass." And just as he opens the door, there's Kyle, alive and okay. He was like, "Hey, man, there's a fucking party next door at your girl's place."
Feels
like,
good. And he's so happy. He's so happy to see his friend. But, dude, this, like, revitalizes, life back into Michael because, because of the events that had happened with losing his mother, being in the car crash, like I've mentioned before earlier on in the movie, I feel like he was just super desensitized and, based off of what he was doing in his subconscious, with the video game, whatnot, like he might not have had, so much will to live, so he had literally like the shit scared out of him and life scared back into him, like through this,
Yeah.
through the events of the video game, man. Like he had to make some really hard choices and he felt some serious loss in the video game, and he really made the right choice by not killing her as well.
And this gives him some courage to finally go speak to Kimberly, so he goes and seeks her out, and Kyle and Kimberly's best friend Stacy
hit it off.
They have a bit of they hit it off because
it was a Joe moment, right? Like Joe at Quinpins,
literally.
He like compliments her on her hair or on her hat or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like Michael initially asks, he's like, "Oh, where is she?" And she's like, "Oh, she's upstairs with one of these fucking guys." So like that's kind of like you're like, "Ooh, like that's gonna hurt." He's gonna go upstairs,
and,
but as
Michael's
it turns out,
he says to her, he's like, "Stacy, can't you not be a bitch for once?"
Right.
And then
he ends up
makes
going
his way up.
Yeah, so he ends up making his way upstairs, and, you think that maybe she's, like, necking with this guy in the room or whatever, but he's throwing his fucking guts up in the bathroom, and, Kimberly's just, watching over him to make sure that he's okay, and then Michael's like, "Hey, can I just, like, talk to you real quick?" And then they end up going into the other room, and this is pretty much where, like, Michael, confesses his love for her, and then he asks to take her out. So this kind of sucks, though, because you think that she's gonna just be like, "Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely, I thought you'd never ask," but she's just kind of like, "Let you know. Now's not a good time." So she kind of like played it. She played it a little bit weird, but they didn't have the same experience, like that he just had, so she's just kind of still trying to play it cool, maybe not knowing.
But she gives him a little peck.
She does.
And that's where he sees her photos that she took of him.
She's been watching him too.
It assures him that, there's something here.
Yeah.
I just got to weigh it out. So we skip back to like, I don't know, maybe the next Monday at school or something, because like of course they're not throwing a fucking party on a fucking school night. So Mike brings in Brainscan for the principal to review.
So, dude, such a good fucking ending, dude, because we have been on this fucking roller coaster ride of all this fucking murder and bloodshed and just like all these feelings and stuff. But you know what, dude? Like, the fucking principal was a bit of an asshole to him initially, shut down his fucking horror movie club, and he's just doing what he asked. He's like, I want to review any game and or movie that you're gonna show. And he fucking gives it to him. The first time I saw that, I was clapping. I was like, yes. I'm like, this fucking guy is in for a ride, man.
Oh yeah, and I love that the trickster shows up at the principal's desk behind him and kind of gives him like a wink and a laugh.
Yeah, I like
Mike's
that.
just like, yeah, I'll catch you later.
Yeah, it was good,
And,
man.
We get to the credits just about, but then before like the final credits, we see that fucking German Shepherd again, dude. And what does it do? It drops the fucking foot in front of Michael's doorstep. So
There you go. That's what it was doing in the beginning of the movie. So
Yeah.
it was like the beginning of the movie was the end of the movie, you know, when the dog comes. But we don't
did
see
Michael really commit that murder? So it seems.
Maybe, man.
And it just kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger there.
So
And that's Brainscan.
that's Brainscan. Fucking such a fun flick, man. I'm glad that we decided to do this one.
Me too, man.
I've been wanting to do it for a while. I'm
happy we got around to it. Because I had only seen this like maybe once or twice, but these revisits have been so enjoyable. Like I watched it twice over the weekend, once last night, and then like once before we hopped on. And yeah, man, this is such a fun movie. Just great, like era of the 90s. Again, Edward Furlong is in the peak of his career.
Yep.
Great effects. The trickster is such a cool, fun villain.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I love the trickster, dude. He's a great mascot for fucking Brainscan. I think that this is a really good story. I think it's a well written story too, because like at the end it's like one of those like oh fuck moments, you know, because it really makes you forget that you're in a game the whole time. And I think that it's just like that's really good writing, you know, when you can forget that aspect because it's just so well written, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And this one, it's a fun one, and I love the soundtrack. I have to fucking find out that one band that sounded like fucking Nine Inch Nails with some like black metal like shit over it. But also like Primus making an appearance. It's just it's fucking cool.
I'll
It's
go
cool to
through
see
it.
like all the posters in the background and the Fangoria mags, and
Just a
yeah,
cool
man.
little time capsule, you know, from the 90s, you know. So it's really cool, man. And you know what, like this movie in a sense also was a bit of like a social commentary on video game violence, which was like a big deal in the 90s. So in the 80s you had
the
Satanic
fucking
Panic,
rise.
right? So in the 80s we had the Satanic Panic when all the fucking they were just saying how like, you know, all music's, you know, demonic and it was just causing these kids to do all these bad things. And then another thing with fucking video games, man.
Exactly, because mothers were fucking picketing over Mortal Kombat. And
Mortal
all the
Kombat was
violence.
the big deal.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
man.
but this is kind of like, you know, the social commentary of it, you know? So, I mean, I think that it was a perfect movie for that. And yeah, I love the movie, man. I love the fact that, you know, Andrew Kevin Walker, you know, was the writer of it. You know, that makes it even closer to my heart. Eddie Furlong in it, you know, was great despite, you know, his bullshit with the director. I think that he played the role very well. I love the trickster, man. Trickster's my favorite part of this, man. You know, we've talked about the parallels that we feel in regards to him with Trick or Treat. I think that they, you know, might have pulled a little bit of inspiration, but you know, he had like a bit of he fit the 90s, the trickster, man. He fit the look of the 90s in a sense, I feel, you know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I agree. And you know, I think I'm ready to give my rating. I already said why I like this movie,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm just
same.
gonna give you my rating.
Go for it.
You already heard my reasoning, so my rating for this is a 7.5. I fucking had such a fun time watching this movie, and if Shout Factory decides they're gonna put out a 4K,
they will.
which they've been doing with all their other releases, you bet you and I will be picking that one up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, same here, man, dude. I give this a 7.5 as well. We're on the same page.
Oh shit, okay.
I love Brainscan. I've said everything that I liked about it, man. It's just a fun movie. It's, a really good... It was a straight to video, as far as I know. It was, unfortunately, it was not a commercial success. But like all great movies, man, they always find their fucking way, So it's a good one.
Their audience.
It's a good one. So for anybody who's looking to watch it, like Steven had mentioned, Shout Factory has an out of print copy of it. Probably end up paying a bit for. It's on Tubi for free right now. Tubi's the GOAT. So anybody wants to check it out, go check it out on Tubi. Free. Free 99.
Gotta love it. That's Dan's favorite price.
Free 99? Yeah, it's mine too.
Yep.
It's everybody's.
Yeah, yeah.
If you don't like free 99, you can get the fuck out. But brother, this has been a good one, man. I'm very happy we finally covered Brainscan, dude.
Yeah,
so.
man. It was,
and I'm excited for
great.
the next, man. We figured out our October watches, so these are gonna be good ones, man. I'm very excited, dude.
Very excited. I have both copies coming in the mail because they got some new releases. One about a year ago, almost a year ago, or like towards the beginning of this year.
The other one, I own the DVD version of.
Same. I own the DVD version that is been kind of dated now, I think. But we're very excited for our October lineups.
Yeah. Dude. And, before we wrap up, I just want to touch on Fair Oaks Fright Fest, man. You fucking met the cast of Fright Night. We didn't mention it in the beginning. Let's just touch on it real quick. We had a really fucking good time. Watched some really good fucking movies. We watched Fright Night. We watched Christine. Steven has a new love for Christine. Not only because of this, but prior to this, he had told me that he had found a new love for Christine. And I think it was a really good drive-in movie, man. Especially because it has the drive-in scene in the rain, when
agree.
Christine tries to kill Cunningham's girlfriend.
Yeah, dude, no, seriously, you know what's funny is I've been listening to the Christine soundtrack all week on my drives to work.
Yo, did you see, I'll have to send it to you. You might have seen it. John Carpenter has like re-releases of all the scores and stuff for the movies, and he directed a Christine version for it with the car and everything. It's really good.
Oh, okay.
It's really good. I'll send it to you once we wrap.
Yeah.
What were you saying though? You've been listening to the soundtrack?
Yeah, I've been listening to the soundtrack, but just going back to meeting fucking Stephen Jeffries, who played Evil Ed, Amy Beers, who played fucking Amy, and Bill Ragsdale, who played Charlie. It was an absolute pleasure meeting them. I got an 8x10 signed by them. I was originally going to get my Eureka Blu-ray copy, but I saw that 8x10 of them. It was like the whole cast pretty much, minus, obviously Chris Sarandon couldn't be there, and Roddy McDowell is no longer with us. But, well, Chris Sarandon kind of did make an appearance because during Fright Night, there was a bat flying around the screen for pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah,
so,
watching the flick. It might have been Jerry.
Jerry was there.
Jerry was there. He was there in spirit.
Yeah.
Dude, what the fuck is what was Jerry's buddy's name? Mike?
I can't believe I'm drawing.
I wonder if he's still alive. I'm sure he is, but it's cool that you did get the 8x10 with the other 3 cast members because unfortunately you can't get Roddy.
Billy Cole.
Billy, right?
Was the name of
I like
his,
him. He's cool.
Familiar, if you will.
Familiar, yeah. So I mean, it's cool.
Wait, real quick though, man, because
you
going
can get
back to that 8x10.
Yeah.
So I had taken a picture with them, and if you look at the picture of me with them and the 8x10, we're standing in the exact same positions. So it's fucking Stephen Jeffries, but instead of Roddy McDowell,
you're there.
Me. Oh, then it's fucking. Go back on my Instagram and you can see. I put the picture side by side
That's
of the
cool.
signed by 8x10 and me with them. We're in the exact same order, just me standing in Roddy McDowell's fucking place.
That's fucking cool, man.
So that makes that 8x10 even more special to me.
Yeah, I'm glad you had gotten that, because like when you were online, you were talking to me, and I saw that you were like looking at your copy, and you were just like a little bit. You were like, I don't know, I don't know, and I'm glad you had gotten it. But when you eventually meet Chris Sarandon and the guy who played Billy, dude, it's like you got those 2 spots on there for
I do.
them.
Yep, you're right.
So
absolutely.
That night, you know, they played Fright Night, opened it up. And then they played Christine. Those 2 movies were awesome. They played The Shining, and like, don't get us wrong, we love the
Great
fucking
movie.
Shining. Great movie, but it
but-
is not a drive-in movie. It's 2.5 hours. They easily could have snuck in 2 more movies, you know, that night. But what they do at the Fair Oaks is, you know, whoever buys, you know, the tickets for it get to vote, and apparently a lot of people voted on it, whatever. So Steven and I snoozed during The Shining. I caught like the end of it, the climax of it, which was awesome. And then
I watched the first hour and then I snoozed for the second
I had
hour and a half.
I had a good rest because, you know, we were up. I got home at 5:30 in the morning, but they played Night of the Creeps, man. Night of the fucking
What
Creeps.
a way to finish, man.
Dude, such
What
a
way
good
to
movie.
finish.
Thrill me.
Yes. Thrill me.
Dude,
so many
such
good
a good
lines.
line, man. That's a
I
good
love
fucking
that
movie, dude. That is a good drive-in movie. So we had a great time at the Fair Oaks Drive-In. Next year, though, I think we're gonna go to Camp Blood at the Mahoning.
Yeah,
I think that's gonna
I've been
happen.
wanting to go. I think that's gonna
Let's
happen.
do
too,
it.
man.
Fuck it. Let's
do it.
let's just go, man. Let's just go to it.
We're going.
Yeah.
We'll go to VHS Fest as we do every year, and then we're gonna go back for Camp Blood.
Mahoning's not far, man. It's a quick drive. It's
It's a little over 2 hours, so
fuck it.
it's manageable.
I'm fine
It's
with 2
worth it.
hours. That's like my max in like any direction to go anywhere. I feel
4 hours for me. I'll do 4 to 5.
it's got to be real worth it for 4.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if the Mahoning was 4 hours, dude, we just have such a fucking good time going there anyways. You know, that would be 100% worth it. I'm fucking bummed though, dude, because they're doing Kyoto Brothers there the weekend of my birthday.
But it's on a Sunday, and we both have work the next day. It sucks.
No,
man.
it's on a Saturday.
I'm pretty sure it's on a Sunday.
Let's look. I think it's on a Saturday, brother. Yeah, it's a Friday and it's a Saturday. They're doing Critters and Killer Clowns. I don't know if we'll be able to make it. Steven and I have a little bit of other plans, but maybe we will watch Killer Clowns because it's my birthday weekend. Because Steven is planning on coming down. You know what? I'll do a little curated fucking Nick's movie fucking weekend.
Yeah,
and
your
we'll do
birthday
that.
weekend,
Yeah.
you curate the movies for that weekend.
Yeah,
man.
come down,
One
brother.
of them,
we'll do that.
One of them might have to be a new pickup if we could, because we could just say it.
Yeah,
We're gonna fucking drive out to the archive.
in
Vinegar
Connecticut.
Syndrome.
It's only an hour away. Dude, I love the archive.
We're gonna
It's
pick up
like-
some fucking titles.
Yeah.
We're gonna fucking shoot a little vlog of us going there. A little what's in my basket, kind of like Amoeba Records.
Yeah.
You know. And yeah,
I've been to Amoeba, bro. I bought a couple titles
I know,
from
you
there.
lucky
That's where I got my fucking Shout Factory Rec box set. Fun thing before we wrap up, I'll tell you about Amoeba Records. I went out there a couple years ago. I linked up with my good friends Hugo and Loris Melchior. They are 2 of the best French filmmakers I know, and Hugo is one of the best artists I know as well. They've just been great friends of mine for all these years. We met through the horror community. However, they had come out for like 3 months and they were out in LA. They were getting that American Hollywood experience, and I had went out there for a couple days, and I had went to Amoeba Records, and I went there like every day, dude, because it was like walking distance from my hotel. So when I was there, I was looking through movies and shit, and I had picked up an Alfred Hitchcock collection, and I had walked around, and I was like contemplating whether or not I should buy it. I really didn't want to spend money on the whole fucking thing, and I came down to the conclusion, I was like, I can hold off on it. So I walk over to put it back, and there's a fucking guy standing there, and he's with his kid and shit. And I was like, fuck. I'm like, this motherfucker's in my way. I'm like, I gotta put this movie back. I don't know. It's just like I was being a little bit of a fucking asshole. So I walk away, And I walk away and I turn around and I see the guy standing there and I'm like, that guy looks very familiar. And I couldn't really put my fucking finger on it. Furthermore, I had thought about it and I'm like, that's Christopher Nolan. That's the fucking director of The Dark Knight Rises. And I had pulled up a fucking picture of Chris Nolan and I'm like, that's fucking him. And even then I really wasn't that sure, but he was walking down one of the aisles and there was a Batman box set of his movies, and he had stopped and he looked over at it and he pointed to it with his kid and they kind of like chuckled and they walked away. And there I had my fucking I was 100% sure now. I was like, that's Christopher Nolan. So I was gonna go up to him and I was gonna like say what's up and say hi, whatever. I really don't want to make a scene, and I was kind of like off and on about it. I got the guts to go and talk to him, bro. And as he was walking down, you know, because Amoeba Records, I don't think it's there anymore. I think they moved locations. The whole first floor was CDs, records, and stuff, and then they had an upstairs loft for movies. And he walks down, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go say what's up to him. He vanishes like the Batman, bro. Have no fucking idea where he went. But I crossed paths with Chris Nolan, man. So that's a great memory from fucking Los Angeles. And then, like, I walked around with my friends in Haddonfield and Pasadena, dude, and we went to the Sugar Mint Gallery, which is right by the Myers house. We went to the Michael Myers house. We walked the whole locations, dude. It was like, felt like a Halloween night, dude. It was just super cool, man. Pasadena's a beautiful town. I'm gonna take you out there one of these days, bro.
Yeah, I've always wanted to visit, man. One of these days we'll make our way out there.
Yeah.
We'll do the whole Halloween tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, Nick. With that being said, this is a wrap on episode 23, Brainscan. We hope you enjoyed. If you like what you've been watching and or listening to, the best way to support the show is following us on Instagram, subscribing to us on our YouTube page. We are also on Spotify, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast streaming services from. And so be on the lookout for our October episodes. Can't wait to talk about those movies. And man, this has been a fun conversation.
Fuck yeah, it has.
I think the Sunday scaries are creeping up. It's almost 4 p.m. here, and they hit me hard around 7 p.m. So I think in that time, it is opening season for football. Maybe either watch some football. My Giants are playing late. Fucking big disappointment.
Yeah.
You know, they can't, I don't know, they can never kind of get it together, but I'm raised in a Giants household, so it is what it is. But I might actually watch, though, that Joe Bob Mahoning driving special after this.
Yeah, do it. I can't remember what the second movie was. I fucking drawing a blank on what the second feature was, but dude, it was great. Night of the Demons was fucking great, man. I'm gonna watch it again, to be honest. So, but it was just so cool seeing, you know, the Mahoning drive-in, man, and all its glory and all the people. Just super hyped to be there, and I wish we could have been there, man. But we get to experience it with VHS Fest, and you know, the Mahoning's always doing great shit.
We've met Joe Bob ourselves, you know, with that Black Christmas screening.
Such
at,
a nice guy,
Alamo.
Like, such a gem, dude. Seriously, Joe Bob's a fucking gem, dude. Joe Bob is a national treasure, and you know what he does for our community and what he's always done for the horror community. He's been the guy, man. So we love you, Joe Bob.
Yeah, much love to Joe Bob, and like I said, be on the lookout for our October drops and our vlog when we go visit the archive and pick up some flicks.
So with that being said, I am Nick.
And I'm Steve, and you've been listening to Dead with My Friends podcast. Until next time.
Peace.